Let's look at the next link in the house cell example when we're selecting some records. Okay, so this is the second link here, and this opens up a page called SumProducts1.php. And when we click on the submit button here, we are going to go to SumProducts2.php. So we've got a required property on this number text box, and essentially we are going to pick records whose price is greater than the number typed in the text box below. So if we type 10, okay, 10 euros, we are going to pass that number as a value from this text box onto the next page, and then we are going to use that in our SQL select query. Okay, select all records from product where, okay, price is greater than 10. Okay, so we're in SumProducts1. Okay, there is no PHP involved in this text box at the moment. Okay, because it's just a text box. The user just types something in, so there's no value coming from the database. Select some records, and now when we click on this, we're going to run the SQL, and it's going to show us the records, and we're sorting them in descending order by price. So 187.58, going right down to 12.45, and there's nothing below this. 9 records in the query. Okay, so I'm doing a select where, and it's putting the records in there. Let's look at it from a code point of view. SumProducts1. Now what's going to be different here is that the price that we're filtering by, the price criterion, needs to go to the second page, and then we need to deal with that. And we need to make sure that the user hasn't typed in something like drop table D00, whatever. So we need to prevent an SQL injection attack here. So here's our form. Okay, we've got one form element essentially, and click on the submit button, and what happens when we do that? We go to SumProducts2.php, and we are posting the information, so it's not appearing in the browser URL, in the address area, in the address bar. So let's go to the next page. We need to connect to the database, sure, and then look at this here. This is a new sort of line. The price threshold, capital P, capital T. Where is that coming from? It's coming from the name of the text box on the previous page, the number text box. Okay, method equals post, $_post. The square brackets should tell you that this is an array. Okay, so all of the values of the form elements are stored in the $_post array if the method equals post, and we can then retrieve them as long as we spell this exactly the same as the name of the form element. Okay, the name, not the ID, because remember a set of radio buttons will have the same name. So whatever name you've got, make sure it's in there. And we're going to store that temporarily in this PHP variable called the threshold, like that. Second T is capitalized. Okay, what we need to do with this PHP variable is we need to sanitize it. Okay, so we have this extra line. Okay, here's my SQL query. Notice I'm using the threshold here, but there's a colon before it. Okay, so I'm selecting all records where product price is greater than this thing here, which nearly looks like what's storing the price threshold. Okay, so how do I get this? That threshold. Here is the value coming from the form in the temporary PHP variable. I'm then going to sanitize that, okay, by using the bind value PHP function. And how do I sanitize it? Well, generally you just take the name of the variable, you strip off the $, you put a colon in front of it, and you put it in quotation marks, and you put it in the first half of the bind value, comma, and then the original PHP variable. Okay, and then you put the bound value or the sanitized version into your SQL statement. Okay, so that's going to give us our records. Fetch all the records, store into all $_ queries, create our first heading row in our HTML table, and then you can just basically spit them out into that table, each record in one HTML table row at a time. Okay, and that's going to display them in the table then. And notice the image is in there as well, image source. So we see the image in there.